This Impact Wrestling review was brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Try it, and Rockstar Spud's next act as Dixie Carter's Chief of Staff will be stapling Robbie E's mouth shut. With this being the traditional Thanksgiving edition of Impact, you knew for sure that two things were going to happen. Number one, they were going to break out that dumbass turkey suit again. And number two, they went in pretty much figuring that no one was watching because of the holiday, so they wouldn't really be taking this one too seriously. That doesn't mean they couldn't do some fun things here. And I'm happy to say that most of this one was pretty enjoyable. There were some problems, however. 3 squash matches in a row, TNA, that's pushing it even for a holiday show. And then, of course, there was that segment. A segment so agonizing, it had me praying for death. You'll know it when I get to it. I really liked how this episode started off. I think they are starting to overdo it with the opening Dixie Carter promos, but they did something different with this one. For starters, they introduced a new character in an interesting new role.
Rockstar Spud is in the building!
I think it's a really smart move to put Rockstar Spud with Dixie Carter as her assistant, chief of staff, whatever. It puts him in a role where he can use his mic skills to get his character over, which is what he's best at, and having him aligned with Dixie should speed up that process, what with all the heel heat she's been generating. And he's off to a good start already. You saw him in several backstage pre-tapes during the show, getting the Thanksgiving dinner celebration ready, and these were all fun. It looks like Spud has the character stuff down really well. And then they did something I'm surprised that they didn't do a lot sooner, and brought out Ethan Carter III. Now we're really getting somewhere with this character. He's talking more, interacting with Dixie more, which is very important. They're starting to flesh him out now. All good things. I do think he's going to need to prove himself in an actual feud pretty soon, but it looks like they're getting closer to that at least. Huh. So, essentially, TNA is using their non-wrestling heel authority figure to give a bit of an endorsement, a rub, if you will, to 2 new characters to help establish them and help them get over, instead of simply tearing them down and belittling them so she can look like the coolest person in the room. What a novel concept. It's simple, but so crazy that it just might work. You know, frankly, I'm surprised other companies aren't doing this right now.
You people are fools!
We're getting some real progress with this EC3 angle now. Now he's not only beating TNA legends, but flying in legends from all over the globe, just so they have the honor and the privilege to bask in his magnificence. And I'll admit, I was a little nervous there for a minute. I mean, Curry Man is no joke. That guy is like a rock star in the Orient, a legend among legends. But see, EC3 was just luring him into a false sense of security. He had this match well in hand from bell to bell. But this does leave TNA with a dilemma. Now that EC3 has beaten Curry Man, who's left? I mean, how do you top that? Unless they've got the ghost of Andre the Giant lined up for EC3 to decimate as only he can, then I'm not sure where they can possibly go from here. Hell, they might as well just hand him the world title right now. Because EC3 has been the uncrowned world champion since before he was nothing but a glimmer in his father's eye, and we all know it.
And that's the fishing line, 'cause Shark Boy said so.
Then Lady Tapa made her in-ring debut against Velvet Sky, and this match had a little less going on. Nothing out of the ordinary here, a pretty basic enhancement match, they didn't try anything fancy. And considering that Tapa is extremely green still, and Velvet's not exactly the best person to carry someone like that, that was probably for the best. The match was okay, I guess, but the booking seemed kinda counterproductive. This was Tapa's first official match as a member of the Knockout division. You're trying to establish her as some kind of savage, badass monster. Well, I'm sorry, but she was selling for Velvet way too much here. And needing Gail's interference to help her win the match, that really doesn't make Tapa look dominant, which I thought was the whole point of this. You'd think it would make more sense for Tapa to just roll right over Velvet. But there's other stuff to consider. Maybe they wanted to protect Velvet somewhat. Maybe they don't want to make Tapa look too strong at the expense of someone who's already over because she is so green and they're not completely sure if she's going to work out yet. Those are good points. And again, it begs the question, if you're not sure if Tapa is 100% ready, then why bring her up from developmental so soon? I'm still doubting if she's ready myself. This match didn't do much to convince me otherwise. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't anything you were talking about on Friday morning either. Though they have made some positive changes to her character, I'll say that. Tapa does have a presence. The screaming and the flailing around has been toned down a lot, and that alone has made a big difference, for me at least. The rest, I think, is going to be a work in progress. Then came a stretch of television that absolutely baffled me. I don't know how you have these two segments on the same show, much less so close to each other like this. I have no idea how in the world this happened, but somehow, some way, what came next was one of the most entertaining segments this company has produced in years, preceded by the most flat-out, brain-melting, eye-gouging, skin-peeling, vomit-inducing, made me want to rip open a vein with my own teeth just to escape it, irritating as fuck segment that I have seen on any wrestling show since the last time the Nasty Boys were on my TV screen. Jesus H. Christ! What maggot-infested armpit of hell did this segment crawl out of?
Oh, my brother! Testify!
You take the returning Zema Ion, one of the more talented and charismatic X Division stars you've had on your roster in some time, and you make him... You make him a DJ sidekick for the fucking bromance? A role that seems to consist mainly of him just blasting an air horn every 5 seconds. Yeah, like that won't get really fucking annoying in a big goddamn hurry. Then you have Robbie take the jackass factor and turn it up, not just to 11, but 11 fucking thousand! Talking about naked hamsters or some shit? What is this stupid fucker's obsession with hamsters? And then they break out the turkey suits, and they make Furnham and Barnes put them on, and then Robbie starts imitating a turkey for some dumb dick reason. Caw-caw, 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 just saying it over and over and over and over. Even Tenay and Taz had no idea what the fuck he was doing. Shut the fuck up! Shut up! You jobber piece of shit, waste of human plasma, ass clown! Meanwhile, you've got that fucking air horn going off and... My God! You know what this was like? You know who this reminded me of? Madison Rayne. And how she thought that she needed to screech and screech every single promo she cut until she reached audio levels so high-pitched that dogs 10 miles away were bleeding from the ear. Because she figured, maybe if I act like the most irritating, seizure-causing, ear-splitting harpy on the face of the earth, that's gonna translate to heel heat. That's gonna get me over. Which it never fucking did, by the way. It's the same principle. You've got Robbie E taking the one thing he excels at, acting like a spastic jackass, and turning the volume up on it louder and louder and louder and louder and louder and louder until the speakers explode. There's a fine line between being annoying to get heel heat and being so goddamn annoying that you make the viewers want to choke themselves to death with their own tongues just so they don't have to watch you anymore. Is it any wonder that this segment slowly but surely killed the damn crowd? I mean, the fans woke up when Eric Young and ODB got on the ring apron to mercifully put a stop to this crap, but oh my god, this was unbearable. I watched TNA's once great tag team division die a little bit during this segment. God damn. Even Madison Rayne couldn't have made this any worse. Well, there's one positive we can take away from this. Even though the bromance are doing their best to kill any love I used to have for tag team wrestling, at least I don't have Madison Rayne to put up with anymore. What the hell? An ominous musical stinger? Why would that play just now?
Destination? Horror.
Moving on. That atrocity might very well have been enough to make me turn this show off in disgust. Had it not been followed by something so wonderful, I almost couldn't believe it. The Aces and Eights funeral. Oh man. Remember the Team 3D funeral segment they did years ago? Well, they did it again. And it was every bit as awesome. This was TNA basically admitting that the Aces and Eights was the biggest freaking joke of a faction that we've ever seen, a gigantic waste of 18 months of all our lives, and burying it once and for all under a giant dump truck-sized load of raw sewage. And it was glorious.
Yes! 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 Yes!
All those little in-jokes they threw in there, like the deli plate from Hogan and Brooke, and Joe not giving Kurt a beer, and the bobblehead D'Lo Brown. And Eric Young saying it's a tragedy that the Aces and Eights will never have a chance to wear the turkey suit and breaking down in tears. And Mike Tenay, even Mike Tenay was awesome here, with that pot shot he took at Taz for being such a piss-poor announcer, and throwing that piece of shit vest in the coffin, and then putting Tessmacher's booty shorts in his pocket, looking around like I hope no one's looking, but the camera's right there! This was pure fucking gold. Oh my god. And then it turned on a dime and suddenly got kind of dark when Bully Ray showed up. You know, he threatens Anderson and Anderson's wife, and this part was actually pretty creepy. You know, after all that awesome comedy, it ended on an awfully sinister note. Nicely done on that. Then our main event was Team Rude versus Team Angle in an 8-man elimination tag match. I don't know why TNA felt like they had to do this right after Survivor Series, but you know what? If you're going to take a shot at the WWE like this, you'd better make damn sure that the match you put on is better than the match the other guys had. In this case, WWE opened Survivor Series with a really good one. I'm not going to say this topped it, but it was a strong main event that gave every guy in it a moment to shine and managed to advance several different storylines like Storm and Gunner and Magnus and Angle without turning into a cluttered, confusing mess like it probably would have if Vince Russo had booked it. I wasn't crazy about the DQ finish, but I think the match did what it was supposed to do. And finally, we ended things with the obligatory Let's Poke Fun at Thanksgiving segment, where all the champions and winners of the night came out, all of them heels conveniently, and they buried some people and put themselves over, And then a bunch of babyfaces came out, and there's a big brawl/food fight to close out the show that the crowd seemed to get a kick out of. And poor Rockstar Spud is freaking out because the first job Dixie Carter gave him to do is blowing up in his face. Man, that's a tough break right there. Better luck next time, Spud.
I'm on a hell of a lot of fucking Jägermeister!
Well, I don't think getting drunk is going to solve this problem, Spud. But, what the hell. It's the holidays. Indulge yourself.
The Rockstar Spud has left the building!
If that was supposed to be a table for winners only like they said it was, then the bromance had absolutely no fucking business being out there. What with their win-loss record being something you bring up to laugh at parties. That aside, this was a silly entertainment segment that didn't really advance any storylines that much, but it was some kooky holiday-themed fun to celebrate Thanksgiving. And what the hell is wrong with that? Stuff like this is fine, once in a while, just to break things up and do something different and show that you're offering a little bit more than just nuts and bolts wrestling. And they didn't do anything too stupid, they didn't dress up like pilgrims or some crap like they had Angle do once upon a time. They kept it within reason, and for a Thanksgiving episode gimmick, this was pretty harmless. You really can't judge this one by normal standards. Holiday episodes are what they are. You know they're holding back because a big chunk of the audience is going to be doing other things that night, so TNA just used this opportunity to have a little fun. For the most part, I thought this was fine, except for the excessive squash matches and that one segment that was so awful it made me want people to suffer horribly. And they still covered all their bases, they still hyped up the World Title Tournament semifinal matches and showed a great video package about that. Looking back on this whole show, I feel mostly positive about it. An outlook that I'm trying really hard to apply to something else right now. Speaking of which, well, you were right about one thing. This business of my YouTube channel supposedly being for sale is being reported by other news sites now, and at a glance that might mean something. I was scared at first, but if you look at this closely, all these different sites are just quoting or paraphrasing what you said. So then they're not really reporting it, are they? They're just cutting and pasting, basically. And you really think that matters? It might. And it proves that you're still the only news source that's reported this. A news source that is hardly unbiased and has been known for having a very creative interpretation of actual facts when it comes to the subject at hand. And what exactly are you gonna do about it? I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna investigate this further.